Well, good afternoon, everyone. We're going to go ahead and get started. We got 3 items on today's agenda. We'll start with introductions. Madam Clerk, if you'll kick us off, please.
Good afternoon. I am Christine Smith, Clerk to the Board.
Good afternoon. I am Arlissa Easton, Deputy Clerk to the Board.
Good afternoon. I'm Susan Rodriguez McDowell, elected by the people of District 6.
Good afternoon. I'm Laura Meyer, and I represent District 5.
And I'm George Dunlap, elected by the people of District 3.
Good afternoon. My name is Lee Altman, County Commissioner serving at large, and I also have the privilege of serving as Vice Chair.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Mark Jarrell. Been elected by the people of District 4, also serving as Chairman of the Board.
Good afternoon. My name is Vilma D. Leak, and I represent the most powerful people in the district. It's District 2. 1, 2.
Good afternoon and welcome. My name is Arthur Griffin. I have the pleasure of serving as County Commissioner at large.
Good afternoon and welcome. My name is Commissioner Yvette Townsend Ingram, also known as Commissioner YTI, and I serve you at large.
Good afternoon, Tyrone Wade, County Attorney.
Good afternoon and welcome, everyone. I'm Mike Bryant, Mecklenburg County Manager.
Thank you. Executive team, please.
Good afternoon. Dr. Kim Campbell, Deputy County Manager.
Good afternoon, Leslie Johnson, Deputy County Manager.
Good afternoon, Michelle Attree, Deputy County Manager.
All right. If you all would join us for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Those guys in the back, no.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, everyone. Before I go through the mission and vision like we always do, I do want to, before we got started, I broke up a little party back here, and apparently we have some interns. Mr. Manager, would you like to introduce your interns so we can welcome them?
I will be delighted to, Mr. Chair. Thank you, and the rest of the board. As a point of personal privilege, I want to share that I'm joined this afternoon by Mrs. Chair Sherman and Mrs. Olivia Stevens, who is 2 of our incredible young talents that we have added to the organization for the summer as part of our 8-week-long MEC Pathway internship program. As many of you are aware, MEC Pathway, currently in its 5th year, is our premier internship program for our high school and college students geared towards exposing students to the endless career opportunities in the government sector. Ms. Chair Sherman is currently interning with the manager's office. She's working with Lisette Nimmons as she works on her Master's of Public Administration at the University of North Carolina at Charlotte. And Ms. Olivia Stevens is interning with our Public Health Department, and she is a student at North Carolina Central University, where she is working on her undergraduate degree in biology. These 2 individuals are part of 94 interns that are spread across 23 departments this summer. Of the 94 interns, 45 are high school students, 44 are undergraduate students, and 5 are graduate students. Our cohort this summer is made up of students from 18 colleges or universities. This includes 4 HBCUs and 18 local high schools, of which 33% are designated Title I schools. And since expanding the program to serve college students back in 2024, 75% of all eligible college seniors that went through the program were able to transition into full-time employment with this organization.
That's fantastic.
And I got to tell you, when I speak with our hiring managers throughout the organization, their preference is actually to go with our pathway students as opposed to some of the other candidates that they receive, because they come in with a fresh mindset and they're willing to learn new trades and skills, and they just do a phenomenal job. They make us proud. So the reason why I wanted to bring this forward is, 1, to give them exposure, and also for you to see firsthand how your support is helping our young adults.
Wonderful.
My hope, I had the opportunity to meet with them a couple of weeks ago at their orientation. I made it clear I would love for them to join this organization. Both Cherish and Olivia, they've been shadowing me today, and now they have an opportunity to see how we discuss policy. So I'm excited about this opportunity. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. We appreciate that. And it's Cherish and Joy, right?
Cherish
and Joy, will you all stand just briefly? Just stand so we can recognize you. Thank you for being here. Thank you so much. That's really fantastic. And the average age in this room just went down considerably. So we'll take it. So as we start out every meeting, we'd like to start with our mission and our vision. Our mission is to serve Mecklenburg County residents by helping improve their lives and community. Our vision is Mecklenburg County will be a community of pride and choice for people to live, learn, work, and recreate. For those that are watching that don't know, our FY 26-27 board budget priorities are economic development, education, environmental stewardship, health equity and wellness, services for seniors, workforce development, and reducing racial disparities. Those are the guardrails that we use to guide our actions and our decisions. And so we like to make sure that we're lifting those up before our meetings. With that being said, there are 3 items on the agenda today. Just, colleagues, for your point of reference, we're not taking any action necessarily, but particularly on item number 2, the Community Resource Center strategy, it is going to be important that we give feedback. Certainly questions are in bounds, obviously, but giving feedback in the manager direction, staff direction is going to be critical as we make some decisions. So with that being said, let me turn it over to the manager.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. There are 2 items that I have for the board this afternoon. As you mentioned, both of them are for information. As Zach Lewis, our senior assistant to the county manager, make his way to the podium, the first one is pertaining to pennies. You may have heard back on November the 12th of 2025, the federal government minted its last penny. And accordingly, local governments across the entire country are exploring how to proactively implement policies and procedures to respond to this decision that the federal government has made. In other words, we are planning for a penny shortage. And we've had a lot of internal conversations about this, and this afternoon, Zach is going to level set with you, and then he's going to present to you our plan on how to respond to that. So with that, Mr. Chair, please recognize Zach Lewis.
Zach, you are recognized, sir.
All right. Well, thank you all. Good afternoon, Chair Jarrell, commissioners, and county manager. Again, my name is Zach Lewis, and I serve as the senior assistant to the county manager. So as the manager mentioned, this presentation today is going to provide a brief overview to the board regarding an ongoing project to create a policy and process for non-exact change cash transactions at county facilities. This project is a proactive measure to plan for potential future penny shortages due to the federal government no longer minting pennies. As was just mentioned, just as some quick background again, on November 12th of last year, the U.S. government minted its very last penny, which officially ended the production of new pennies into circulation. That's not saying that pennies that are already in circulation are going away, just no brand new ones that say 2026 on them are going into circulation. So naturally, this has triggered a wave of assessments with organizations and local governments across the country evaluating how this could affect the day-to-day cash transactions in those organizations, as well as looking for proactive ways to really stay ahead of the curve if a penny shortage is faced in that local government. And to give a couple of ideas of some of the groups that are looking at this, on the screen on the left here, you have a recent article from the UNC School of Government. And on the right, you have an article from the Government Finance Officers Association, or GFOA. So what we know so far with this is that the penny problem is only a problem once it becomes a problem. And so what I mean by that is Mecklenburg County is not facing a penny shortage right now. So it's not a problem yet. And to be frank, We don't necessarily know if or when that would be a problem, but it's important to stay proactive to plan if it could be. Second, as just seen, the UNC School of Government and GFOA, among many other organizations, are monitoring potential local government impacts and changes. We know that Mecklenburg County has several cash handling location points. We know that rounding rules are allowed, but there is special consideration that has to be made towards property taxes, which we will speak about in a moment. State governments are exploring rules regarding cash handling and rounding policies. And that pennies currently in circulation, as I mentioned, will remain in circulation. Just no new pennies will be entering into circulation. So to that end, and to be proactive and ahead of the curve, the county manager's office has launched a holistic project to address a potential future penny shortage here in our county. And this is a 5-phased project. I won't go into all of the details, but starting off with creating an inventory of all cash handling locations and the systems that handle those transactions across the county. Second, a technical and fiscal evaluation to really determine if our existing systems can round and if there are any legal requirements or restrictions around that. The third, policy design and draft, which is establishing a non-exact change cash policy and piloting it in a county location while gathering feedback both from staff and residents. Fourth, stakeholder engagement. And this is working with our public information department to figure out how to effectively communicate and market these changes to the public. And this even includes this presentation today to you all, to the board, to help communicate this ongoing project. And then lastly, rolling out the changes county-wide. Okay. So to provide just a quick high-level data point to you all to help understand the scale, all county departments have been surveyed to gain an understanding of where cash transactions can occur across our many different programs, as well as the systems that are used. Of that survey, 9 of our departments were identified that have the ability to handle cash transactions in some capacity. But of those 9, the vast majority of transactions actually fall within just 2 of our departments. So now that we understand where these transactions can occur, as well as the systems that are used, the team has begun to explore any potential policy options or any legal restrictions that there might be around addressing this non-exact cash transactions. And so I mentioned the UNC School of Government and the Government Finance Officers Association. Well, the North Carolina chapter of GFOA, in partnership with the School of Government, hosted a webinar a couple months back where they provided options that local governments could implement to be proactive in this, and various things that could be considered. And of the recommendations that were put forth by these 2 groups, on the right side here, those were, you could become a cashless enterprise. There's nothing that says that you have to accept cash, except property taxes, which we'll talk about. The second option would be to require exact change in cash transactions. The third, transaction rounding, which is what we tend to see in businesses nowadays. And then the fourth option here is considering fee schedule changes, ensuring when fees are adopted each year that they end in whole dollar amounts or within 5-cent increments. But importantly, it's emphasized that whichever direction the enterprise decides to take, consistency is very important, where the same rules are followed regardless of the service point. So I've mentioned property taxes a few times. And so as alluded earlier, property tax transactions do have legal constraints under North Carolina General Statute 105. And this was outlined by the UNC School of Government and the North Carolina Government Finance Officers Association. So first, under General Statute 105, property taxes must be payable in existing national currency, which includes physical cash. Second, property taxes cannot be released or discounted unless it is due to an illegal levy or a clerical error. And a penny shortage is neither an illegal levy or a clerical error. And then third, the limited statutory flexibility for under or overpayments that are in existence if that transaction is over or under $1 does not apply to in-person cash transactions. The general statute makes that clear, that it is not for in-person cash transactions. And then knowing this, the recommendation from this group is that if a resident elects to pay their property taxes in person with cash, an exact change is not available, to round up to the nearest nickel, which 5 cents. And so for a couple examples of that, if a property tax transaction is elected to be paid in cash and there is not exact change, if that total bill is $1,000.71, to round up to $1,000.75, or if it's $1,076, to round up to $1,080. So currently, this gets us now to the current state of the ongoing project where the team is taking a look at this. Currently, our project, where we're at right now, is falling into the third phase of that project map that we are looking at. And right now, we are drafting a policy, determining the process for handling these non-exact change cash transactions, and identifying some areas to potentially pilot the changes that come forth. The preliminary changes currently focus on uniform and consistency across all applicable service locations. In other words, as mentioned earlier, making sure that however these non-exact change transactions are handled at one service location, it's the same at another location. That way residents aren't confused. If they go one place, it's handled one way, another place, another way, etc. And so grounded in these property tax requirements, the new protocol for cash transactions would likely follow a defined hierarchy, with first requiring exact change. If exact change is not available, requesting another payment method. If another payment method is also not available, then rounding up to that nearest nickel, that nearest 5 cents. And this policy would also be supported by considering future fee schedule updates to ensure that charges align in either those whole dollars or 5-cent increments. And then my last slide here is to just provide a few examples of that. And it's important to understand that the maximum impact per transaction, if cash is offered and there is no exact change, would be 4 cents or less. And that is regardless of the size of a transaction. So for example, a small transaction of $10.02, if those stipulations aren't met and it's rounded up, it would go to $10.05, or $10.07 to $10.10. And then again, that property tax example that we looked at earlier with a larger amount in the thousands would still round up within 4 cents or less. Okay, so Chair Jarrell, that concludes my brief presentation. I'm happy to answer any penny questions.
Well, thank you, Zach. I think it was pretty, you did very well. Are there any questions? We'll start with Commissioner Rodriguez-McDowell and Commissioner Griffin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Can you just help me understand why it would only be rounding up and not rounding up and down like normal?
So because the one area transaction type that we know that there is a defined requirement is in the property tax space. And property taxes guidance based on those legal requirements, so those under that general statute 104, is that the likely only option there would be to round it up to that nearest nickel to, clear the debt, if you will, to consider it paid in full. And so for consistency's sake, if we know that that is the floor or the minimum requirement, that could be the same policy that's applied among the other locations. The other locations are not defined in statute, so it could be different there. But if we want consistency to be important, it would be more of the same based on what we know is required.
Okay, so the concern is that somebody might get 2 cents more than someone else if they got rounded down.
So
It's not fair that someone would get 2 cents. Is that the idea?
You wouldn't be able to pay off your taxes. For
Right.
property
It
tax, you
wouldn't
couldn't
just-
pay it off if you rounded it down because you wouldn't be clearing the debt. You'd be a penny short.
So the second,
But, like,
pennies
why
short.
wouldn't we just clear that off?
so the second bullet point here that came out of that general statute referring to released or refunded, that is interpreted to mean anything lesser than that total bill owed, even if it's 1 penny less. So if your bill is $1,000 and you pay $999.98, based on this general statute, that's not considered a full debt paid.
Okay, thank you.
I'll come to you next. Let me go to Commissioner Griffin and Commissioner Lee.
Yeah, Zach, thank you for your presentation. Since we're a subdivision of the state, if the state does something, we'll then change ours to match up with the state, because you indicated earlier that the state was reviewing this situation with a penny, and you've started off by saying it's not a problem until it's a problem. That's one question. The other piece is the profile of people who tends to pay government bills in cash. How are we working with our sister organization, meaning the city council, to be consistent with local government's receipt of cash payment for whatever? I'm thinking about people who pay the water bill in cash. You would come in and do that. So I don't know if we're that far yet, but is that some of the considerations? And also the last question, the third question. You know, after a year or two and we save a few pennies here and there, it adds up. Is there a policy to say what we do with that extra?
No, so is there a policy? The answer is no. We have to draft the policy for consideration that will account for that. In terms of our partners, I haven't had any formal dialogue with them. They are aware that this is coming down the pipeline. I chose to bring this to you in advance to give you some runway and prepare you for what we are about to take on. But certainly as we get closer, as Zach mentioned, there is not a penny shortage in Mecklenburg County today. But we don't want to wait till we get to that point. So the same information that he shared with you from North Carolina GFOA and the School of Government, our peers and partners have that same information as well. So hopefully they're considering that, but that's the dialogue that I'll be having with our city manager and other partners at the appropriate time.
Sounds like a plan. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner Leek.
You answered this question that I was going to ask as it relates to the over. Who keeps that and how do we account for it?
It'll be the county. The county will account for that, and we would keep that because, again, it's associated with this new policy that's coming into place.
And keep it for what purpose?
It'll fund services, just like all the other revenue that we receive when folks are paying their property taxes.
revenue.
That support county operations.
As revenue. Do we
It's
have that
revenue.
total now, how much we've accumulated?
Well, I don't have any projections, but certainly a part of this will be a communication plan to make sure that the public has an awareness of not only what we're doing, but more importantly, why we're doing it.
And the reason I asked that question because of seniors, if it's 5 or 6 cents left over and we pay that, well then how is that reverse given back to that person?
Well, that's the roundup. That's what Zach was pointing out. If it's 2 cents, it's going to be round up to 5 cents because
You understand where-
we no longer will have the pennies to return and change.
But as a senior, I'm paying that $25.18.
That's right.
And that stays with the county, the 18 cents
The
over.
18 cent will be rounded up to 20 cent.
Well, that 20, who gets that?
The additional 2 cents will be retained by the county as a result of this policy and this action that the federal government is taking by not minting any more pennies.
My question is, who then holds that money? Who
The
claims
county.
it? County.
The county.
How do we say to the government, we have this extra money over?
How do we say to the government,
Yes, that we have this money.
well, we're going to report, just like we currently do, when we share with you our revenue projections, that will now be a part of it moving forward.
Thank you. Thank you.
And one thing that I would add to that also is
You got it.
that the cash transaction would be, that rounding rule would only apply if the prior pieces weren't met of, okay, you want to pay in cash, so do you have exact change? If no, would you prefer to pay with debit card or write a check or something like that? If no, and I still really want to pay with cash, but I don't have exact change, don't want to use my debit card or write a check, that is when that would then apply. So it's not the upfront, this is what you've got to do. It's no, there's multiple boxes of options first.
Thank you.
Commissioner Townsend Ingram.
I just have two questions. First of all, great presentation, and I'm glad we're getting ahead of this, that we're being proactive. On page 6, you said there were 2 departments that only handle cash transactions. I'm just curious as to what 2 departments those are specifically.
That is within Park and Recreation and libraries.
Okay. And with that then, since there are only 2, I think that, it would behoove us that extra that is, if it comes to the point where we do have to implement this, and if we do have revenue that is accumulated, that it specifically go to those 2 departments in the way of benefits to residents, that money only, that there be a policy that money is spent specifically for park and recreation and for library services, is my recommendation.
And thank you for that, Commissioner YTI. And when there are instances that will allow us to do that, as you know, we have user fees, like at Park and Rec, that offset some of those expenses. Certainly we'll consider that. Yep.
Thank you. I think that's it, Zach. Thank you very much. I agree with us being proactive. Thank you, Mr. Manager.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Zach. Good job as always. The next item, Mr. Chair, is also for information. Now that we have adopted, you have adopted the fiscal year 2027 operating budget, it's now time to shift our attention back to our capital improvement plan. You'll recall that this board accepted my recommendation to press pause on our CIP to allow staff some time to reassess the projects that we currently have from a needs assessment as well as from an affordability perspective. Our community resource centers is a major part of this reassessment, and today you will receive as information an update on the community resource centers, the strategy, including future CRC locations and our public health department clinics. As our chairman has stressed, you are not being asked to make any decisions today. In full transparency, initially we were prepared to come forward with a set of recommendations, but this is a lot of information for you to unpack. And I want to make sure that you have sufficient time to process it, understand it, ask your questions, and provide us feedback, and then we'll take that into consideration and come back with a recommendation in the immediate near future, because we do have to move along pretty steadily and fast so we can make sure that there is not any time lost in our capital improvement plan. As Robert Nesbitt make his way to the podium, there is one thing that I want to bring to your attention that I want you to be mindful of. The CRCs only represent one part of our capital improvement plan. As you're aware, we fund other projects, Park and Rec, of course, schools, our state justice services as well. The CRCs play a big part of that. And the presentation you're going to receive, the comments that you're going to make will give us some guidance and direction relative to what we're going to bring back as we factor those other partners as part of our CIP as well. So with that, Mr. Chair, I'm going to ask that you recognize Robert as well as Steve Sweat, Steve, from Asset Facility Management. The two are going to tag team on this presentation. Again, it is a lot of information, so just bear with us as we work through it, okay?
Thank you, Mr. Manager. Robert, Steve, you guys are recognized.
Good afternoon, and thank you, everyone. We are just finishing the setup here, then we will get underway. Good afternoon, County Manager Bryant, Chairman Jarrell, Vice Chairman Altman, and Board of Commissioners. Thank you for the opportunity to present today. My name is Robert Nesbitt. I'm the Community Resource Center Division Director for the Department of Community Resources. Joining me this afternoon is Steve Sweat, Senior Project Manager with the Asset and Facility Management Department. Today, we will provide an update on our effort to reimagine the future Community Resource Center strategy. My portion of the presentation will focus on the high levels of customer demand we are seeing at the CRCs and how that demand should inform future planning. Steve will then present facility options and the operational impacts of CRC planning decisions. I want to note our presentation today was developed in close collaboration with HHS DCM, Dr. Kim Campbell, and the HHS leadership team, which includes the HHS department directors, many of whom are here today, as well as many other members of the leadership team, and I want to thank them for their collaboration and hard work on this project. I'll begin with the purpose of the presentation today, an overview of the CRC model, the current customer volumes we're seeing, and factors that may drive future customer growth. I'll then provide historical context on the evolution of health and human services delivery in Mecklenburg County and the vision that led to the CRC model, the why behind the CRC operations. After that, Steve will walk through future CRC facility options and their operational impacts with a particular focus on public health clinical operations. Then we'll have time for questions and discussion, of course. In March, the HHS leadership team was asked to evaluate how we can continue expanding access to health and human services while reducing capital improvement plan costs. We partnered with the county's GIS team to analyze the latest data regarding where HHS customers reside, and we worked closely with AFM to reimagine CRC facility options. The scenarios we're presenting today reflect extensive data analysis and collaboration across county departments outside of health and human services as well. In this section, I'll provide a brief overview of the CRC model and the growing customer demand. But before I get into the CRC model itself, I do want to ground the CRCs in the overall health and human services system for our county. Mecklenburg County's 4 HHS departments are structured as a consolidated human services agency with more than 3,000 employees. Together, these departments provide a wide range of services to more than 400,000 residents each year. This includes 30-plus mandated state and federal functions, such as food nutrition services, commonly known as SNAP, Medicaid, WIC, and many others. For many residents, CRCs serve as the primary access points to these critical and time-sensitive resources. CRCs were designed as one-stop-shop resource hubs that bring multiple HHS and community partner services together in a single location. In addition to the benefit programs I mentioned, CRCs connect residents to workforce, education, and healthcare resources that go beyond just mandated services. Our goal is to reduce barriers to access and make it easier for our residents to receive the assistance they need in one place. When the CRC model was developed in 2015, the 5 locations were intentionally selected based on where the highest number of HHS customers lived. As shown in the purple heat map, the majority of HHS customer residences were located within what many refer to as the crescent of higher poverty in Mecklenburg County. I'll return to this topic shortly, but I want to note that this pattern of customer residential density remains fairly consistent as of 2026. The map on the right illustrates the alignment of the 5 originally proposed CRC locations in relation to areas with the greatest number of HHS customers. The Valerie C. Woodard CRC opened in West Charlotte in June 2018. The Ella B. Scarborough CRC opened in Northeast Charlotte in August 2023. And the remaining 3 CRC locations are proposed for the east, southwest, and northwest areas of the county, all planned for opening across the next decade. Now here's the customer volume that I really wanted us to dive into. From June 2025 to May 2026, the VCW and EBS CRCs had approximately 164,000 total customer visits. The 2 CRCs operated at similar daily volumes, each averaging around 340 customers for a combined average of nearly 680 people total per day combined at both sites. Our peak volume days through May 2026, the VCW CRC saw 541 customers and the EBS CRC saw 600 customers, with a combined highest same-day volume of more than 1,100 customers. But since these slides had been finalized just last Monday on June 15th, we exceeded even these highs, with VCW serving 555 customers and EBS serving 609 customers. So we actually saw a number closer to almost 1,200 total customers in one day. CRC customer volume increased significantly beginning in January 2026. And from January to May of this year, there has been a nearly 50% increase in customer visits compared to the same time frame in 2025. VCW is now averaging 400 customers per day, and EBS is now averaging nearly 440 customers per day, with multiple days exceeding more than 1,000 customers. Several factors are driving this increase, including the closure of the Catherine M. Wilson Center on December 31st, 2025, increased in-person WIC visits, and initial implementation of federal policy changes enacted through H.R. 1, which I know you all have received many updates regarding. Over time, this high volume will strain our staff and facilities, driving up wait times and negatively impacting the customer experience. Now, this slide shows the number of customers accessing each type of CRC service. As you can see, about 60% of customers access those core safety net services, food and nutrition, Medicaid, and WIC, showing that CRCs are primary access points for residents to meet their essential needs. That makes sense because these programs represent the largest federally mandated services administered by the county. These are the programs where we have the highest levels of program participation. At the same time, a significant share of our interactions go beyond mandated services and support workforce development, education, healthcare, veteran services, and housing stability. CRCs have always connected residents to workforce, education, and training opportunities, but we're expanding our efforts in this domain in partnership with the newly created Economic Mobility Division within the Department of Community Resources. Along with social workers at CRCs who connect customers to education and employment, we are establishing community partnerships to increase on-site workforce and training opportunities. Our first key initiative began earlier this month, a workforce partnership with TMZ Insurance at the VCW CRC location that has connected more than 100 residents with licensed insurance agent training, which has the potential to earn an average entry salary of $52,000 per year. We are also increasing CRC customer awareness and utilization of the existing workforce and education resources we have at CRCs, and this is done through lobby strategies such as additional customer engagement and outreach, video signage in our lobbies, and partner tabling events. And while expanding workforce development resources advances our long-term goal of helping more residents achieve economic mobility, we must also be prepared to handle the continued growth that we're seeing in customer demand. The customer volume at the CRCs is already at historic highs, and several factors are expected to drive this demand even higher over time. These include population growth coupled with increasingly high costs of living, which will increase the need for additional services and resources for our residents. Recent federal policy and eligibility changes from the H.R. 1 bill will drive more in-person visits, and any economic downturn would rapidly increase the number of residents seeking CRC services. Without additional CRC capacity, growing demand is likely to increase wait times and could negatively impact the customer experience. This slide shows several plausible scenarios for the growth of CRC customer volume in the coming years. The projections were developed in close collaboration with the county's economist, Brandon Simmons, who's here today. I want to recognize him and thank him for his support on this project. But let's start with the first row. Today, our CRCs are averaging, again, between 400 and 440 customers per day at each site. Moving to the second row, federal policy changes are expected to increase recertifications and work requirement activity, pushing daily demand to approximately 440 to 480 customers beginning in January 2027. And that's about a 10% increase. Going to the third row, showing our population growth, Mecklenburg County is projected to approach 1.5 million residents by 2040, which could increase daily CRC utilization to roughly 570 to 620 customers per day per site. I want to note this is actually similar to our current peak day volumes that we've seen, for example, just last week. And in the last row, and perhaps most importantly, historical recessions like the Great Financial Crisis have dramatically increased participation in safety net programs. A recession may occur during any of the first three scenarios presented on this slide. For example, if a recession were to begin in the next few months, our average daily CRC customer volumes could exceed 600 visits per site. If a recession occurred after expected population growth, say in the mid-2030s or 2040, our average daily CRC volumes could increase to more than 800 customers per day at each site. While these scenarios vary, they do all point in the same direction that demand for CRC and HHS services is likely to continue to grow over time with our county. On this slide, we're moving from projected demand to capacity planning. The first column lists the 2 operational CRCs at VCW and EBS, and the final 3 planned CRC locations in the east, southwest, and northwest of the county. The second column shows our current average daily lobby volume from January through May 2026. Again, VCW is averaging 400 customers, EBS around 440. The third column shows the highest peak day volumes we've experienced through May of this fiscal year, with VCW reaching 541 customers and EBS reaching 600 customers in a single day. And the fourth column shows what CRC peak days could look like with just 10% growth. And under this scenario, our highest days would begin being 600 customers at VCW and 660 at EBS, well over 1,200 customers total. So in a way, this just shows the data a little bit different than on the previous slide. With a relatively small percentage increase in overall demand, just 10%, we could really exceed what the projected optimal range was for the originally planned 5 CRC locations. And that's what you can see in the column on the right. That shows that we had really projected about 1,250 customers per day with capacity built in for high volume days. And so we're seeing some of this growth earlier than even projected, but it's worth considering this as we think through different options. I began my portion of the presentation today focused on customer demand because of these significant increases we're seeing and significant increases we could see depending on what happens in the community. But now I want to revisit the original purpose and intent behind the CRC model to show how we've made progress towards initial goals. For this section, let's start with the customer journey prior to the 2 CRCs. Imagine you're a single parent of 2 children working a low-wage job. Prior to CRCs, residents often had to visit multiple county and community partner buildings to access services. A customer seeking benefits might visit one office for Medicaid and food and nutrition services, another for child support, and yet another for employment or housing assistance. Many of our customers rely on public transportation, turning what should have been a simple trip for assistance into a full day of travel and appointments. And for some residents, this time and transportation burden becomes a barrier to receiving services at all, and certainly a barrier to receiving the full array of services they may be eligible for. But the problem wasn't only travel, but that our social services model was fragmented by department, and the service delivery across programs was disjointed. Waiting areas and service environments were not designed with the customer experience in mind. And at the old Billingsley Road Social Services location, customers often experienced lengthy wait times for services and long lines, stretching out the door and extending down the sidewalk. During the Great Financial Crisis, demand increased so dramatically for services that our operating hours had to be extended to weekends. But in 2014, to improve accessibility and equity across our services, the county kicked off the Bringing Mecklenburg County to You initiative, building off of earlier initiatives seeking to create access to our services throughout the community. This initiative created a system of community resource centers designed to make HHS services more accessible by offering an array of programs and resources at a single location closer to where residents lived. Importantly, CRCs were not just about the customer experience, but were also a broader component of the county's facility master plan, which aimed to place county employees in improved and modernized working environments. The CRC vision was guided by 4 goals of equal importance. Goal 1, offer HHS services in the communities where customers live. Goal 2, increase access by providing an array of services in a single location. Goal 3, create a welcoming, trauma-informed customer environment. And Goal 4, improve the workplace environment for employees. As I mentioned earlier, the 5 CRC locations were identified in 2015, selected based on where the greatest number of HHS customers lived. And as of 2026, the CRC site placement strategy is sound, and the 5 locations, the remaining 3 locations, align closely with where HHS customers live. The maps on this slide show HHS customer residential locations as of 2026. Medicaid and food nutrition services customer density is reflected in the center map, and WIC customer density is shown on the right. The darker purple shading you see, the greater the numbers of HHS customers living in those areas of the county. These maps illustrate that customer residential density remains broadly consistent with the crescent pattern that has often been referenced in local public policy discussions. The planned ECRC location would help improve access on the east side and help manage the high customer volumes at the Ellaby Scarborough CRC. And the southwest area remains one of the county's largest service access gaps, despite significant HHS customer density in that pocket of the community. Along with the heat mapping effort, we wanted to look at the data in a slightly different way, examining the number of HHS program participants living within zip code regions associated with each CRC. Thousands of HHS customers live near the VCW and EBS CRCs, showing progress towards Goal 1 of offering services closer to where residents live. But similar to the heat map, the zip code analysis shows that the east and southwest regions contain substantial numbers of Medicaid, SNAP, and WIC recipients as well. The planned CRCs in those areas would better align service locations for thousands of residents, reducing access barriers, and bringing an array of resources closer to their homes. Moving on to Goal 2, CRCs were designed to bring an array of services into a single one-stop shop community-based location. The co-location model was intended to improve convenience, reduce barriers, and streamline HHS customer access and awareness. Since FY22, the annual number of customers receiving multiple services in a single visit to a CRC has increased significantly from approximately 4,100 customers to nearly 27,000 customers for the fiscal year to date. Over this 5-year time span, more than 74,000 customers received multiple services in a single visit, and this trend highlights progress towards Goal 2, showing that CRCs increasingly function as multi-service access points for the communities. But the impact extends beyond these numbers because as customers gain awareness of the array of resources offered at CRCs, they often return later for additional assistance or help spread the word about resources to friends and family. The third goal was to provide a more customer-centered, trauma-informed service environment. CRCs offer customers a convenient and comfortable setting for accessing resources. Service workflows are intentionally designed to eliminate standing lines thanks to a queuing technology and service ticketing system that enhances the overall customer experience. And with this focus on workflows, we've achieved an average overall wait time of less than 30 minutes, which is an important accomplishment for a high-volume social services operation. You can also see progress towards Goal 3 of creating a welcoming environment reflected in the strong customer satisfaction ratings we receive. Both CRCs received a rating of 94% last fiscal year, which again is a strong outcome for social services programming. This slide highlights 4 direct customer quotes about the CRC experience. but this represents thousands of similar comments we've heard over the years. I won't read each one, but customers often note the excellent customer service, the efficient workflows, and the open and inviting facility design. But while overall customer feedback is positive, we also receive comments noting the impact when wait times are long, particularly on our highest volume days. These comments highlight how rising demand can affect the customer experience, especially when customers are waiting to meet with a caseworker. Importantly, many customers recognize and appreciate the work of our staff even when there are delays. But as demand grows and the capacity at our two CRC sites becomes strained, customer experiences with longer wait times may become more common. In addition to enhancing customer service, CRCs were designed to improve the work environment for employees by modernizing county facilities. And I don't want this to get lost in the presentation because it's equally important. CRCs support better working conditions, operational efficiency, communication, and customer service delivery across HHS departments. And having modern facilities helps to strengthen employee recruitment, retention, and just overall operational effectiveness. We've made progress towards this goal by placing many HHS staff in modernized work environments at both VCW and EBS CRCs. However, there are still opportunities to improve the work environment for county employees. 300 public health staff work in aging facilities, including the Southeast Health Clinic, Northwest Health Clinic, and the Hal Marshall Annex. A primary goal of the East, Southwest, and Northwest CRCs was to upgrade our public health clinics because of increasing infrastructure issues and space limitations, making them unsuitable for long-term use. The photo on this slide illustrates one example of the infrastructure challenges facing our public health facilities. The photo shows the immunization clinic customer waiting area at the Southeast Health Department. And the white cylinder that you can see going down is a temporary HVAC unit that is required because the existing HVAC system alone is not adequate to support clinic operations. If the East and Southwest CRCs do not move forward, the two existing public health clinics will require extensive renovations, which Steve will speak to in greater detail momentarily. I will note that temporary clinical space will be needed to be secured during any public health clinic renovations, and finding appropriate lease space for key public health services, such as immunizations, tuberculosis, and refugee health, can be challenging. In addition, operating from temporary leased locations has the potential to create confusion for customers as sites shift between temporary and permanent sites. Now we can move on to the summary and key takeaways from my portion of the presentation. To recap, our analysis found that CRC locations remain aligned with where HHS customers live. There are particularly high numbers of Medicaid, SNAP, and WIC recipients in the east and southwest regions of the county where CRCs are planned but have not yet been built. CRC customer volume is substantial and continuing to grow, with our CRC serving more than 164,000 customers over the last year, and the peak day customer volumes reaching above 1,100 total across CRC sites. As demand grows, maintaining customer access and service quality will require coming up with ways to meet that demand. And it's just there's opportunities on the east and southwest of the county to create additional access. Finally, CRC investments support broader county objectives of improving public health facilities and the overall working environment for our staff. With that, I will now turn it over to my colleague, Steve Sweat, with Asset and Facility Management, to share the 3 CRC options and related impacts.
Thank you, Robert, and good afternoon, Manager Bryant, Chairman Jarrell, members of the Mecklenburg Board of County Commissioners. Today, I'm going to describe several options that reimagine how Mecklenburg Health and Human Services programs could be provided by the county through the use of our community resource centers, public health clinics, or by other possible means. This will also involve an overview of our corresponding effects that each option could have on other existing facilities and the anticipated probable cost range for each option. To establish a baseline for comparison to these options, I'm first going to describe the original CRC strategy, including long-term planning for the public health clinics. So on this map, this shows the location of the complete build-out for all 5 CRCs as originally planned. There are 2 CRCs already completed. Our original CRC 1, which was the Valerie C. Woodard Center, completed in 2018, and CRC 2, which was the L.B. Scarborough Community Resource Center, completed in 2023. These first 2 CRCs provide a wide array of health and human services, as Robert described: economic services, child support, veteran services, youth and family services, but although they do provide some basic public health services such as WIC, case management, and family planning, they are not considered to be public health clinic locations. The remaining 3 CRC locations that have not been constructed yet were also to replace our existing public health clinics. These locations are shown on the right side: the East CRC, planned as our 3rd CRC facility and included a small public health clinic. Near the bottom, the Southwest CRC, planned as our 4th CRC facility and included a large public health clinic. And finally, near the top, the Northwest CRC, planned as our 5th and final CRC facility and included a medium-sized health clinic. The county has already purchased the land for the East CRC. It is located off of Cagle Avenue, which is near the intersection of Sharon Amity and W.T. Harris Boulevard. The project is currently in the final phase of design and scheduled to be completed in 2029. We also have already purchased the land for the Southwest CRC. It is located off of Nations Ford Road, just south of the intersection of I-77 and Tyvola. Along with the CRC and associated public health clinic, this site is also planned to contain the Nations Ford Community Library, and these projects are scheduled to be completed in 2032. The final CRC site is already owned by the county. It is the same site as the county's existing Northwest Health Clinic. In terms of usable area, this site is much smaller than our other CRC locations, and due to the larger size of a planned community resource center when compared to the existing clinic, a structured parking deck would be needed at this site. It is expected that the existing health clinic would need to be completely demolished to make way for development for the new facility, and to do that, the existing building cannot remain occupied. Our baseline strategy was to temporarily relocate all of the public health staff located at the existing Northwest Health Clinic and place them in the newly constructed health clinic at the Southwest CRC location that was planned to be opened in 2032. Demolition of the existing Northwest Health Clinic could then take place, and the new Northwest Community Resource Center and its clinic would then replace that old facility. This final Community Resource Center project was scheduled to be completed site. The county's existing Southeast Clinic could then be vacated, and those public health staff would relocate to our new clinic as necessary. The county could then sell or redevelop the site of the old Southeast Health Clinic, however it chooses. So that was a good overview of the planned CRC locations, and it also summarized our baseline strategy for public health. But as you've heard, CRCs offer many health and human services programs beyond public health and contain a variety of staff relocating from other facilities as well. Another major group that we need to discuss is the Department of Community Resources Economic Services Division and the existing facilities that those staff are located. Although CRC 1 at Valerie C. Woodard Center and CRC 2 at L.B. Scarborough Center do contain some economic services staff, the vast majority of ESD staff today exists at the Catherine M. Wilson Center, formerly known as the Carrault Center. This is also one of our older buildings, and and the county is already midway through design for a major renovation to take place at this location. Due to the implementation of our current space standards, we know that the same amount of staff coming out of the Catherine M. Wilson Center will not be able to fit back into the renovated building. This was a foreseen issue. To solve that space problem, the CRCs were also designed to absorb those displaced staff by providing the additional county-owned workspace needed. For the renovation to happen, all staff located at the existing Catherine M. Wilson facility must be temporarily relocated. 2 buildings have already been identified for lease, both of which are located in the university area. The county has already signed leases for the entire building located at David Taylor Drive, and AFM is in the process of negotiating another lease, potentially at the Union 401 building, to hold the remainder of staff coming out of Catherine M. Wilson while our new buildings are being renovated or in construction. Both the East CRC and Catherine M. Wilson renovation are scheduled to be completed in 2029, and a large portion of the ESD and Youth and Family Services staff in that lease space will go to those new facilities at that time. The lease, such as Union 401, would go away completely when that happens. However, the county currently has the second floor of David Taylor Drive leased through 2032 in anticipation of the Economic Services and Youth and Family Services staff that would have been planned to go to Southwest CRC when that building was completed. Once everything runs its course, over the next 9 to 10 years, this slide shows the permanent county-owned buildings that would then be housing the majority of Health and Human Services staff. The facilities are designed to have capacity for additional staff growth to the year 2040. Accordingly, there are no ongoing leases associated with these projects in the original baseline strategy. So these are large new facilities, and they do represent significant costs. This slide shows the baseline cost for both the design and construction of the new buildings at $746.8 million, as well as the needed temporary lease spaces to accomplish this at $25.4 million. The total cost to complete everything outlined in our baseline strategy is a bit over $772 million, which would be expended incrementally over the next decade. But within that $772 million baseline, a large portion of the cost, nearly 2/3 of it, was previously approved as part of our current capital improvement plan, or CIP. These already funded projects are highlighted in green and total $511 million. Now, as I begin to present options, you're going to see a lot of different line items and their associated costs move in and out of this analysis depending on the option. There will be a lot of numbers. It can be a lot to take in if you're not as familiar with all of the moving parts. So I would like to emphasize just 2 numbers on this particular slide. I would like you to try to keep in mind both the total baseline cost of $772 million shown in yellow and the portion of the baseline cost already approved, which is the $511 million shown in red. Those 2 numbers are important because as I present options, I will also be making comparisons back to these numbers and their potential savings. In option 1, no additional new community resource center buildings would be constructed. Specifically, the east, southwest, and northwest community resource centers, which would have included the new clinics, would not be constructed. This would result in the facilities located at Valerie C. Woodard and Ella B. Scarborough as the only CRCs completed. Robert just reported the current customer loads at both of these facilities has grown and can at peak times now be seeing over 1,000 customers combined per day. If the remaining previously planned CRCs are not built, the county will need to revisit the current plans for the Catherine M. Wilson Center renovation, which does not currently include public-facing services. Specifically, the Department of Community Resources has requested that if no further CRCs are built, public-facing services should be restored to the Catherine M. Wilson Center. While this can be accomplished, adding back the customer intake would in turn displace some of the planned staff workspace within the building. And viewed holistically, the result of having less space at Catherine M. Wilson Center for staff, and more primarily not constructing any further community resource centers that also contain additional staff workspace, ultimately results in a much larger amount of staff being left in lease space for the foreseeable future. At the time that Catherine M. Wilson Center renovation is complete in 2029, we estimate that this could leave over 500 Department of Community Resource and Child, Family, and Adult Services staff in lease space. And that could grow to over 600 staff by the year 2040. Therefore, corresponding space at a lease facility such as David Taylor Drive would need to be extended accordingly. Equally important, public health staff and existing public health facilities are also affected. And if the future CRCs that contained our future health clinics are not constructed, the county will need to relook at our existing clinics. We currently have 2 existing county-owned health clinics. The Northwest Health Clinic is located off of Beatty's Ford Road at I-85, and the Southeast Health Clinic is located off of Billings Road next to the Catherine M. Wilson Center. Both the Northwest and Southeast Health Clinics are nearly 50 years old and need major renovations. AFM's maintenance division has been trying to extend the life of these facilities with some shorter-term fixes, but they were doing so with the knowledge that these buildings would be replaced in the relatively near future by the CRCs. If the county is keeping these facilities, these buildings will require extensive renovations that will essentially gut and redo some of the major systems and interior spaces. And to do that, all staff currently working at these buildings would need to be temporarily relocated. The county would need to search for a new, to-be-determined lease space to operate as a temporary clinic. However, this is specialty space. Clinics have customer intake and some unique spaces such as pharmacy and laboratories, some of which need special attention to things such as airflow and mechanical systems. As an example, the county's tuberculosis refugee clinic is currently located at our existing Northwest Health Clinic and in the original strategy was planned to move to the East CRC. If there is to be no future East CRC, as proposed in this option 1, the tuberculosis clinic would still be present at our existing Northwest Health Clinic when we need to renovate it, meaning that the tuberculosis clinic would also now need to relocate to a temporary lease space. As you can imagine, there are very specialized requirements in order to maintain safe separation for an environment that handles contagious diseases, and the tuberculosis program requires its own special entrance and separate mechanical system. Any potential landlord would need to be accepting of having a contagious clinic such as this in their building and allowing us to do the necessary modifications to that building, which could affect that space after we're gone. So with that in mind, it's just, we need to note that the TB clinic going to a temporary lease space could be challenging for the county. Since we don't currently know where the space will be, or the condition of the facility, we must plan for the possibility of a substantial upfit to make the lease space function correctly. But once we have a space and is ready to function as a clinic, only then will we begin renovating our existing clinics one at a time. First, we would relocate everyone at the existing Northwest Health Clinic to the temporary clinic location, complete the renovation, and then move them back. Then we would relocate everyone at the existing Southeast Clinic, complete that renovation, and move staff back in. We anticipate that this process of designing, renovating each clinic would result in a combined time frame of approximately 5 to 6 years for a needed temporary clinic. In addition, the county has another specialized clinic that is also affected. Option 1 also requires us to relook at our existing dental clinic. The county currently leases space from the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Hospital Authority at Biddle Point to deliver our own pediatric dental services. The leased building is located at the 5 Points intersection near Johnson C. Smith University. If the future CRCs are not constructed, of which the East CRC was being designed with space for a county-owned pediatric dental clinic, the county will also need to remain in a leased space such as Biddle Point for the foreseeable future. So with the final build-out of option 1, the county would have 2 functioning CRCs, as well as a renovated Catherine M. Wilson Center with an added back customer intake and newly renovated Northwest and Southeast health clinics. However, we would continue to lease space for our dental clinic, and since we would not have the same amount of county-owned back office space as compared to our baseline strategy, we would have a much larger amount of health and human services staff being left long-term in lease space. These are the same projects that were shown in the original baseline, but in option 1, we eliminate the remaining future CRC projects in whole, which does represent a substantial savings. But we do need to note that the East CRC project is approximately 60 to 70% through the design phase and has already expended about $10.1 million on land acquisition and design services thus far. The Southwest CRC project previously underwent land acquisition, rezoning, and conceptual site master planning. Approximately $4.2 million has already been expended from that project. The Northwest CRC had no previously approved CIP funding and has not expended any money and is in this option shown at $0. And to modify the scope of the Catherine M. Wilson Center renovation project and add back the Department of Community Resources customer intake, an approximate $11.8 million of additional funding would need to be added to that project, raising that total to $88 million. Beyond these projects, which were in the original baseline, I've described that option 1 also necessitates subsequent projects. Before I show you the additional numbers, please understand that these subsequent projects are currently only conceptual options, and therefore the estimates for those can only be based on limited information at this time. They are rough order of magnitude estimates and should not be interpreted today as our final CIP funding request. However, I have coordinated and received input from both Gensler, who is our design consultant on the East Community Resource Center project, and J.E. Dunn, who is our construction manager at risk firm on the same Northeast CRC project. And these numbers do represent a reasonably informed cost range to help in our decision making. So what is highlighted in pink are the additional costs, and they add up to over $200 million for the subsequent projects, resulting from option 1's decision to build no additional CRCs in the future. Breaking that down, the pink highlighted additional building projects, which are all related to renovating our existing clinics, equates to approximately $140 million, and combining that with the remains of our original projects equals $242.6 million in building costs. While the pink highlighted additional lease costs beyond our baseline totals about $64 million, and if adding those additional lease costs to our baseline equals $89.5 million in lease projected to 2040.
Economically.
I say we projected to 2040 because we were building growth in our CRCs out to 2040. And for this comparison, we were trying to keep that comparison apples to apples. Now, if you'll recall the 2 numbers I originally asked you to try and remember, option 1 does represent a savings from the $772 million baseline of just over $440 million. So we went from 772 down to 332. Option 1 also represents an immediate savings to the previously approved CIP funding of $408.7 million. So what was totaling $511 million for projects in our currently approved CIP is now down to a little over $100 million. But I also want to reemphasize that option one leaves a large amount of our staff in lease space indefinitely. Those extended leases and upfits to temporary lease space will cost the county over $86 million by the year 2040. So it is something to keep in mind and be aware of, as well as potentially underserving some portions of the county. Now, we'll have a summary slide of the presentation that compares the different costs and the different options at the end, but I will move to the next option. In option two, we would complete the already under design East CRC as our third and final community resource center, and therefore not construct the originally planned Southwest or Northwest CRC. The ECRC would provide further services directly to a large customer base in this area of the community in both the county's typical CRC programs as well as a new clinic for public health. And it would also contain the relocated tuberculosis and refugee clinic. It would also provide space for the county-owned pediatric dental clinic, so an ongoing lease at Biddle Point would no longer be necessary. However, the clinical space at the ECRC is smaller in comparison to the county's existing health clinics. It does not have a large enough capacity to act as a temporary swing space to renovate our existing clinics. So like option one, option two still needs an additional to be determined additional lease space for a temporary clinic. Also, like the baseline strategy, this option still proposes to renovate the Catherine M. Wilson Center and still needs the associated leases at both David Taylor Drive and Union 401. But unlike option one, which left over 500 Health and Human Services staff in that lease space, option two leaves a much smaller amount, approximately 150 staff, in lease space on level 2 of David Taylor for the foreseeable future. So with the build out of option 2, the county would have 3 functioning community resource centers, of which the east would contain the small health clinic, but also newly renovated northwest and southeast health clinics, and Catherine M. Wilson Center would also be renovated, and we would have our ongoing leases. The cost for our original baseline building projects is still greatly reduced in that the East CRC is the only new community resource center and the Southwest and Northwest CRCs are not built. Our subsequent resulting building projects, highlighted in pink, are the same as was shown in option 1 and represent the additional costs related to the renovation of our existing clinics and lease upfit that would be required. The building cost total for option 2 is $382.5. Our lease costs for option 2 still have subsequent costs in pink, but those subsequent costs have been greatly reduced as compared to option 1 by over $35 million. This is due to a smaller amount of staff left in lease space and the elimination of Biddle Point Dental Clinic. The total lease cost for option 2 is a little over $54 million. So again, recalling those two numbers, the total for option 2 is $436.9 million, which does represent a savings from our original baseline $772 million of $335.4 million. And the cost reduction from removing the Southwest CRC provides an immediate savings from our currently funded CIP of nearly $269 million. For option 3, the county would build a micro CRC and the originally planned health clinic on the southwest site as our 4th and final CRC location. We would not then build the originally planned northwest CRC. Option 3 has some similarities to option 2. We would still build the East CRC with its small clinic, and the East CRC would still contain the tuberculosis and dental clinic. We would also still need to renovate the Catherine M. Wilson Center and keep a small amount of ongoing lease space for a portion of the county's ESD and Youth and Family Services staff. However, the placement of a micro CRC and clinic will provide health and human services programs to a large portion of the customer base in the Southwest community that would not otherwise have the same direct access to these services as other areas that have been defined in the Crescent. So what do we mean by the term micro CRC? After consulting with the Health and Human Services stakeholders, this is a list of the services that a typical non-clinical community resource center provides. So think, what's at LB Scarborough and those services coming out of that facility today? However, for a micro CRC, what is shown in green are the only services being provided, and many of them would be reduced in size. There are some economic services being proposed, but some are being eliminated, and those are shown in red. Child support services would not be included. We also understand that the organization Veterans Bridge Home on Billy Graham and South Charlotte VA Clinic on Tyvola already has a strong presence in the Southwest community, and our own veteran services would therefore not be proposed to be included at this facility. Regarding Youth and Family Services, a meeting room is proposed for Child Family Team Services, but no visitation would be included at this location. And for public health, WIC is the only service of those normally that would be operating out of a community resource center that is included. But connected, as I said, to the micro CRC, we would intend to build the originally planned health clinic. And this program would remain mostly as originally planned. The main difference would be that WIC services would be limited, as they were described, being offered through the micro CRC, and the Southwest Adult Dental Clinic has been removed completely. The micro CRC is anticipated to hold approximately 50 staff, and the vast majority of space within the micro CRC is proposed as public facing, and it would contain very little back office space. So everyone working at the micro CRC on a given day would be intended to be forward facing. The public health clinic is programmed to hold, with growth, just under 250 staff and would have all of its needed back office equipment and office spaces. Apologize. Overall, the micro CRC and the health clinic would combine to be approximately just over 100,000 square feet. So again, the size of this building would be very similar to the LB Scarborough Community Resource Center, but it still represents a significant reduction of nearly 150,000 square feet and over 350 staff from the original baseline of the Southwest CRC program. Of great significance for option 3 is that it provides something very beneficial and more similar to our baseline strategy. If the clinic is constructed at the Southwest site, it will eliminate the need to obtain a future temporary lease space for renovating the county's existing clinics. The Southwest micro CRC and clinic is the space where staff at existing Northwest Health Clinic can relocate. The vacated existing Northwest Health Clinic can then be renovated without incurring those additional costs associated with the lease and upfit of a temporary clinic. And when complete, the existing Southeast Health Clinic can also be vacated and staff move back into the new renovated Northwest Health Clinic. At this point, the county will have all 3 functioning clinics that was planned and evenly distributed in the Crescent within the original baseline strategy. So Southeast Health could then be sold or developed however the county would choose. So the costs for option 3 are shown here. The Southwest micro CRC and clinic are anticipated to cost in the range of $161.4 million. All costs related to the leasing and upfit of a temporary clinic are not needed and have been removed. So that removes about $36 million from this cost. And since option 3 provides all of our originally conceived baseline clinics in the east, southwest, and northwest, the cost to renovate the existing southeast clinic has also been removed, and that was about $62 million. The total is just over $496 million and represents a saving from the baseline, that $772 million, of nearly $276.4 million. And it still provides a saving from our original immediate CIP funding of over $111 million due to the modification to the Southwest CRC original project. This slide provides a summary of each option as compared to our baseline strategy, with bullet points showing key factors to consider, as well as the side-by-side cost data. The individual maps show what the potential distribution of services would be for each option, as well as the facilities involved. The black dots that you see here in the baseline strategy show, in alignment with the original intent, an optimal distribution of CRCs and programs throughout the crescent of Health and Human Services customer base, while the yellow dots in text show how public health services were also originally intended for a similar optimal and even distribution. Catherine M. Wilson, again, is fully renovated, and as a result, all these facilities and the built-in growth, we can eliminate ongoing leases for that baseline. Each option after the baseline reduces our costs, but the amount of cost reduction also corresponds to a reduced distribution of our Health and Human Services programs throughout that crescent and creates the need for various ongoing leases depending on the option. So in summary, quickly, option 1 saves the county the most money, but in turn also has the most partial distribution of services. It constructs the smallest amount of new county-owned buildings and leaves over 500 staff in lease space. With no new CRCs, this option also requires a continued lease at Biddle Point for our dental clinic and a new lease upfit of a temporary clinic. Option 2, with some improved dispersion over option 1, still has somewhat partial distribution overall as compared to the baseline. It constructs the third and final CRC, the third as our final CRC at the East CRC. It is more centrally located in the eastern part of the crescent, but it still does not address the southwest part of the community in regard to our typical CRC services or health clinic services. And option 3 proposes both the micro CRC and new health clinic in the southwest. While this option does not construct the same amount of new space as our baseline strategy, it does come relatively close to the original vision of bringing Mecklenburg County to you with a reasonable and even distribution of CRC and public health services throughout that entire crescent. It does create more county-owned space, resulting in smaller, more manageable amount of remaining long-term leases, as it might be compared to option 1. It completely removes the need for leasing and upfitting a temporary clinic, and allows the county to ultimately sell or develop the site of the existing Southeast Health Clinic, however it would choose. So, go ahead.
So just to close out, this slide puts everything Steve shared into an advantages and disadvantages layout. We know it was a lot. We know a very long presentation. Thank you for sticking with us through it. This just shows everything Steve summarized, broken down into advantages, disadvantages. Option 1, it does achieve significant CIP savings from the baseline and from the current CIP, but it does not fully address service access challenges and needs in the east, the further east, or the southwest parts of the county. Option 2 creates access on the east side that includes a county-owned pediatric dental clinic and modernized TB and refugee health clinics, which are absolutely needed. But option 2 does leave the southwest area of the county unaddressed, where a higher number of customers reside, or where a high number reside. Option 3, with the East CRC and Southwest Micro CRC that has a full public health clinic, creates CRC and public health access more evenly distributed across the community, and it still does reduce our CIP costs by $111 million. I want to note that the advantages in option 2 are also part of option 3 since they're kind of interconnected. So it kind of option 3 does build off of option 2. But that does conclude our formal presentation. We are now happy to answer any questions.
Mr. Manager, did you want to add anything before we go into questions? Or you just-
Nothing to add. Again, I look forward to receiving your feedback and our comments regarding the presentations.
Thank you, Commissioner Townsend Ingram. And I'm going to ask us to, as much as we can, to be specific around our feedback, guys. It's going to be really important.
Process question.
Yes.
How many rounds are we going to be?
That's what I was going to ask too.
Okay. Well, I wasn't putting the timer on right now. I was going to give you a heads up when you hit the 4-minute mark. And then, I'm hoping to 4 to 5 minutes per should be enough to give feedback. You don't have to use it all, but we were not going to use the bell, to steal a line from District 3 Commissioner. But we were not going to use the bell. And, but I'm just going to ask that people be mindful, if you try to take 10 minutes, then it's, you're going to get cut off. So Commissioner Townsend Ingram, does that help? Okay. Commissioner Townsend Ingram.
First of all, I just want to say this was really comprehensive. I went over a lot of it last night. It's very comprehensive, really good. And we tend to, when we get these presentations, we tend to want to find, or at least I found myself, I'm guilty of this, finding what is wrong. What can I put that's wrong that I can write for our residents? I did not find, and what I did was, particularly with Roberts, your presentation on the side of the services that were offered. I have the benefit of both having worked in a CRC, and this was years ago back in West Virginia, so it was kind of different, but no less stressful, as well as being a customer as recent as 2 years ago. So I also wanted to just ask and acknowledge the staff. If you have ever, and this is something that is beneficial, just gone into one of the CRCs to ask for a service, domestic violence, food, Medicaid, just to see what it's like. Because I actually talked to a judge friend of mine. She was in a specific program, and she was one of 8, and they did actually go through, there was 8 of them, and they went through the experience of visiting the CRC to get the experience, to kind of understand. And she went to the one on Valerie, well, they each went to separate ones. She went to the one on Valerie C. Woodard, and just like me, she had a great experience. I had a great experience at the one at Valerie C. Woodard. So my request is that the experiences would just be consistent across all of them, that we would have a mechanism in place that would measure. So that would mean that somebody's going to have to do spot checks, or maybe, you pop up, you go incognito. But the only recommendations that she had that I agree with was that and it's really not your problem. Transportation is a huge issue. Commissioner Altman, you're a transportation person. And it's not really your problem, but, for our people that are listening, transportation affects everything that we do. How do they get there? This is something so significant. If you spend time and money trying to get to one place and they don't offer the service, then that's an issue. That's a critical issue. So to us, what we can do, recommendation, is list more clearly, or if we don't have it listed clearly, make it more accessible or easier to navigate on our website, which locations offer which services. Because in my opinion, like, all of the locations should offer certain services, like domestic violence, which I see is low. I don't know why that number was so low on the list of services that people actually go to. Or HIV testing. I think that all of them should have those services. So that was her only recommendation. And the only other recommendation let's see, consistency and just that the website was more accessible. And recommendation that we have spot checks for consistency, because like I said, Valerie C. Woodard, no complaints, really. I mean, she and I both had the same experience. With regard to, and I'll have additional stuff to add if we have a second round. For this, I don't see how, with our growth, we could even consider choosing option one. I think the debate, in my opinion, should be between option 2 and option 3. I do have a question as to one, what is, why is it that we would continue to have to lease space? Because on every one of them, the continued lease for 150-plus staff at David Taylor Drive, is that just because of the location or where it is, or?
Yeah, Steve can take that one.
So the community resource centers, as I mentioned when I was first talking about the Catherine Wilson Center renovation.
Can you speak up, please, sir?
Sorry, yes. All of those staff coming out of Catherine Wilson Center are not going to fit back in it once we renovate it. It's due to a couple things. One is our space standards. The smallest desk for all day long eligibility staff is a 6x8. Most of them today at the Catherine Wilson Center are 6x6s. Also, there is a good amount of training and conferencing center that's being designed for that first floor of the Catherine Wilson Center. So all the staff that are coming out, we knew were not going to fit back in it. Those CRCs were designed to have space to accommodate those staff. If we don't build any more CRCs, like option 1 says, then we don't have that back office space for staff. So that is why that number is much larger. If we do build the ECRC, we get quite a bit of additional back office space for those eligibility staff for economic services.
Okay, and then my last question, and it's kind of broad, and you may not be able to answer it. But with each option, we're going to need to understand how we're going to pay for this. If you choose, again, I don't think that option 1 is an option in my mind. But if you choose option 2, how are we going to pay for the additional $332 million, $436 million? What is it that we're sacrificing in order to pay for it? Does that mean an increase in taxes? And then with the legislation, we'd have to deal with that. But what are we sacrificing for each option?
All right, now this is going to be, you'll answer this, and then we're going to move to another commissioner. That's 6 minutes.
So Commissioner White, I thank you for that question. So in option 1, you'll recall that Steve called out that the baseline is the $772 million. That's at the bottom of that option. And then the subsequent options represent what the cost would be. And in the green font is the savings from the 772.
Okay.
So financially, you're not giving up anything. You're actually saving dollars from.
So there would not be a property tax increase is what I'm asking.
Well, let me say this. Pending the direction that we go, then we'll come back with the actual financing model. So I don't want to piecemeal it out because this only represents one portion of our entire capital improvement plan. We'll be able to come back with a more precise, robust funding model once we get the feedback here.
Let me go to Commissioner Meyer.
Thank you. First of all, to the manager, thank you for listening to us, because I know several of us came to you and said, these are costing so much, what are some options? And I really appreciate you bringing this back to us. That's a big, you really listened to us. Second of all, thank you for this, both of you. I know this was painstaking work. I can only imagine, and I know how much time it took. So thank you for doing this. It really opens my eyes to what we're doing. And I know we've got 3 options But I mean, I think the fourth option would be leave as is and continue the way we're going. And if it was up to me, if I had to make a decision today, it would be leave as is. I'm one of the ones who is concerned about the cost of CRCs, and so, I mean, my eyes are open. I'm always open to listening to, better ways of doing things, but as it stands right now, it just makes sense to me to leave it as is and go forward. I'm just curious, 2 questions. The TB clinic, which CRC is it planned for?
It would be in the East Community Resource Center, so that's our third one. It's currently about 60 or 70%.
In design right now?
Yes.
Okay. And to me, it just seems all these other options, there's a lot of leasing going on and a lot of upfitting, and that just seems unnecessary to do that in other people's buildings. And so it's to me, in my opinion, and I'm going to be really quick here, you won't be dinging me. I would say we move forward with the way we're doing things. One last question. Do we survey our partners? And is it in their best interest of time to use these CRCs?
Yes, so our community partners who are located at the CRCs, we do. We engage with them regularly. We have quarterly meetings with our partners for dialogue. We also have, and that's like with a group of community partners, we also do individual meetings with our partners as well. And partners have different schedules based on their availability. So there are some partners that are at the CRC 5 days per week, roughly 8 to 5, give or take. And there are other partners that are there more in a varied schedule, or say set times, but 1 to 3 days per week. So the numbers may vary across partners, but we do regularly talk with partners, and we've been really intentional lately about strategies to make sure customers are aware of resources. So we did a survey of customers this past April, and we surveyed about 400 customers in our CRC lobbies at VCW and EBS. We wanted to hear, we shared, these are the CRC partner resources available. Here's what they all mean, here's what they do. Who were you aware of, who were you not? And what services would you like to see additionally? Interestingly, we heard that people really liked the services that are offered, but many people weren't aware of even the services that were already on site. So it tells us, let's be more intentional about communicating what's there in the plainest, simplest way we can, just to make it understandable. What does this name of a partner mean? What does this service entail? And so we've started to promote our partners with pictures of staff in our lobbies, on our video signage, and we are continuing to analyze this and looking for the best ways to meet what the community wants to see and to enhance the way we're collaborating with our partners.
That's good to hear. So if the space is being utilized in a good way, then I'm for just as is, staying as we go forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Dunlap. You know it.
Well, I'll be honest with you. This is entirely too much for me to absorb. So just being honest, I think there's probably a different option. First of all, when you look at proximity, and while the map is not doing a good job of showing you proximity in terms of these locations, I think that facility on Sharon Amity is close enough proximity that the people who come from there would use the one on Eastway. I personally think that we need to do something in the south, maybe not as far south as it is, maybe the 3 CRCs, and then put back the clinics on Catherine Simmons and Beatties Ford Road, as opposed to putting another CRC there. I think in that way you could create enough capacity at the additional CRC that you build to absorb the staff that is currently on David Taylor. I think money-wise, we would probably still save because the cost of those leases into 2040 is astronomical, and if you're going to do that, you might as well build another CRC. To me, I mean, I'm telling you, I'm all over the place because it's a lot. But that just makes sense to me. I think it's fair to assume that people might have to go to different locations for different services, but I think there ought to be a baseline service at all of them, which is what we have now. Those are my preliminary thoughts, but I just, it's too much to absorb.
We'll come back. We're coming to Commissioner Altman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So, especially like slide 80 and 81, really helpful. Thank you for trying to present this the way you did. You know, I often say this, maybe not in this space, but, you know, like with regard to CMS buildings, you know, I'm in some buildings that they're tearing down, and maybe it's because I'm a child of the 70s and 80s, but sometimes I'm in these buildings and I'm like, I like them. I find them, I like them. You know, I don't, when you say needs major renovation, you know, must gut and redo, part of me wants to push back and really get to the bottom of that, because I don't always agree in other contexts that something needs to be done, you know? I mean, yes, it looks dated. Yes, it's not as beautiful, bright, and airy as new construction would be, but it is, to your point, what are we giving up? The opportunity cost is significant. And, you know, yesterday I was at an engagement session, and they were talking about how they need a satellite board of elections in North Mecklenburg, because it's a long way for them to come down here, and it's expensive to drive down here, and they're completely right. And my response was, you're completely right, and I have a very long list of things that I think need to be done, and I can't do them all. And so, although I would love, you know, I co-signed to the original vision, the longer I live with this and I see other opportunities and I hear what the community's talking about, you know, I am open, Mr. Manager, to some of these other options, if you can serve the community and get it done, understanding that more is more and less is less. You know, and it's all, I remember Commissioner Powell, you know, everything's about balance, and figuring out the right way to prioritize all of these things. I'd like to know so here's a list of questions for you, Mr. Manager. For the land that we've acquired, if we don't do these things, what happens with that land, number one? Number two, I hear you about the sunk cost of some of these designs. The general rule around sunk cost is, you know, you don't let that drive your decision-making. You need to make a good decision based upon where we are here and now. So I don't love sunk costs, but I'm not going to be bound by them and trying to make the best decision. For example, I think we expected greater sales tax receipts year over year. You know, at least when I first came on this board, we were increasing our sales tax revenue year over year in a much more substantial way than we are now. You know, and I think that I'm in a belt tightening mode, given the fact that we have got to live within more limited means. You know, it seems like if we're in rental space, it is net cheaper over the long haul, because these scenarios are renting for, I think, 15 years. And it seems like after 15 and 20 years, we think our buildings are somewhat obsolete anyway. It may just net be cheaper to lease rather than new construction. And that's certainly true sometimes when you buy a new home, even if you're upfitting some. You know, I think, and we might hear from experts about this in the future, but of our 48-cent tax rate, you know, something like 11 cents is related to capital and debt service. You know, shaving off $500 million will have an impact on, if not our tax rate, our ability to deal with what we did in this last budget cycle with moving money from the debt service to the operating. Someone else can explain it better, but I'm just saying that I'm thinking about what the community talks to me about, what they're interested in. I'm certainly cognizant that community members who are served by these services don't have time to call up their county commissioner, and I want to be sure we do equity in how we think about meeting the needs of everybody. But these are just stratospherically expensive assets, and if we can make the services available reasonably for $500 million less, I am interested, and I don't know, Mr. Manager, you may not really want to give an opinion about how well you can deliver services under option one, but if you felt comfortable doing that, I would certainly be interested in hearing how you would characterize that.
Well, as I stated earlier, the preference is to hear from the board first, and then we'll take that into consideration and come back. Regarding if the decision is to not develop CRCs on some of these locations, then we'll go back and look at our needs assessment, considering the acreage, the size of the properties. You know, there's other needs that we have out there, whether it's park and rec related, whether it's affordable housing related. Those are the avenues that we would explore, nothing definitively, but we would just see what other options that we have while ensuring that we still respond to the need, to your point. We will have to juggle both, but certainly there are other opportunities because we hear the same thing that you hear regarding some of the interests in certain parts of our community regarding a different type of service being provided if we decide not to move forward with the CRCs.
Commissioner Leek.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My concern is growth. Where is the greatest growth that we have in Mecklenburg County as of today? We cannot take care of all of the needs of our people. We just cannot meet them, and people move here to receive the services that Mecklenburg County is able to provide without even struggling themselves to meet the needs of what they need to have. What about our other sources who provide services of the same source that we're providing? Concerns me. I look at the basketball player who has some areas set up here in the city, some facilities. We have C.W. Williams, others that provide services for our people. Can we take care of everybody's health and needs? Some people would come, as I just said, come to get the services. So I'm concerned about our growth. Our infrastructure of the city is failing, and we're still growing. Can we afford? What really can we afford without going up with taxes? We talk about services, but then who's going to pay for it? How's it going to be paid for? That concerns me, and everybody is saying no taxes, but yet we want the services that's needed and wanted by this community. What is our baseline of growth, and where are the greatest facilities today? And what are those needs in those facilities where the greatest number of people go? Is it for exercise? Is it for medical care? What are they seeking in the processes coming to those sites? Because when I hear about Ella Scarborough's facility, it's about recreation, and Park and Rec provides that. So it worries me to see these numbers and leasing and costs for the community to pay for, but yet the services are there. If there's some way that this community can get around reestablishing health sites that's greater than what we have, or enlarge those that we do have, where the growth is greater and the needs are greater, because all areas of Mecklenburg County does not need the same type of services that we're trying to offer. So can we get that, Mr. Chairman? My other thing is, it took time to do all of this. And for us to sit here today to come up with a recommended plan is unfair. We need to study this, to talk about it, talk about where the money's coming from, who's going to pay for it, how we're going to pay for it, and what is actually needed. Nobody has talked about the needs. And it grieves me when I think about my seniors, and many of them are struggling as it is, and many people are, like you said about land, where's the land to even build if we want to build? Because we're building housing today different from what we did 10 years ago. But I guess with the new mayor, that things might change for the better. I don't mean that as a negative, but I mean that as a movement to success. So help us, I need help to help me understand this and for the community to understand what we're trying to do and why we're trying to do it. Does that make sense, Mr. Manager?
Yes, it's clear.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Griffin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First of all, I'd like to have, at some point, I guess I have to set up a meeting with you and team to get a sense about the 1 cent we moved out of CIP, to look at all of CIP and put this in perspective. Robert starts off about all the good things, good spaces, serving clients closer to where they reside, et cetera. Steve come back and say, hey, we can't afford it. Certainly, I support the original strategy. It's $772 million. That's a lot of money. But I don't know what the 10-year CIP looks at right now. And that would really help me as we project. We talk about potentially more poor people in terms of serving more poor people and serving them effectively. It just seems like the mandated, for example, I could be wrong, somebody correct me in this room, that the busiest health department and the most obsolete health department is on Beatty's-Ford Road. If that's factual, and I don't know, then we need more information to be able to do this. This sort of reminds me, Commissioner Leak, Commissioner Dunlap, of an hour-and-a-half presentation on pupil assignment. When you get the map of where schools go, but you don't hear the other part about, well, the special education program over here for these autistic kids now got to move over to some other place. This is a lot of information. Some of your maps is 2015. You talk about forecasting different services, but you don't project those, at least on the maps. You do different numbers for me. And on some of those slides, your slide where you got like 20,000, 27,000, are these individual households? Are these the membership of the households? You know, and when some of your presentation with some of your numbers, and I certainly, yeah, on slide 22. It's 22 for us. I'm not sure what it is for you on this thing. Yeah, are those individual households, or are those collectively the household numbers?
Those are collectively the household numbers. So this, for example, would include parent and child in that household.
Right, so if it's a parent, and that raised the other question about transportation. Mm-hmm. So if the parent is going to apply for services for 5 children or 4 children, where's that number in this piece as it relates to transportation? You know, what is west of I-77 on your maps? What is east of 485 on your map? I mean, there are just some data points that need to be on these maps that would help me more specifically kind of get a sense of how well are we serving the poor. Okay. Yeah. It's my understanding, Mr. Manager, thanks to Dr. Campbell, put Dr. Campbell on a hot spot. She did a phenomenal job. All right, Dr. Johnson, don't be smiling. She did a phenomenal job with the HHS committee saying, here are the things we are statutorily responsible for.
Right.
And as it relates to the things that we're statutorily responsible for, I go back to Mr. Nesbitt's comments. How well are we serving those folks that we are statutorily responsible for? On some of these slides, and I'll send it out to my colleagues, on some of these slides, you talk about economic services. This one, for example, food stamps, Medicaid, WIC, and you have a map, a heat map or something. But then you include veteran services and all this other stuff. As chair of the Health and Human Services Committee, Mr. Manager, what I get is the demographics of zip codes, black, white, all of these numbers for this group right here. But I don't get black, white zip codes for veteran services, domestic violence, et cetera, on the same chart so that I can see exactly where people that use our services actually reside to get a better sense for how close they are. For example, most of the seniors use the low energy assistance program. And that's not up here. So there's just stuff, and I'll do, Mr. Manager, we'll get you a written question, so you don't have, I'm going to get those to you.
Okay.
But I would.
You're at 6 minutes, Commissioner.
6 more minutes? But I would really appreciate an opportunity to sit with you and staff.
That's perfect. And let me, Mr. Chair, let me
Process
respond,
things.
because I think we're getting away from what this presentation is intended to do. First, as our Commissioner Myers mentioned, this is in response to requests that I received from several of you, asking what would it look like if we were to pause, delay, or scale back CRCs. And the context of those conversations was to explore doing something else, if it's a regional rec center, affordable housing. But these are conversations that I had with you dating back to when we completed the Ride to District. So this is responsive to what you asked of me. The second part I would say is, sure, I can come in with a recommendation. I can come in and say, this is what we want to do. But also you asked me, don't bake the cake fully. You asked me to bring forward options for feedback. You give me that feedback. The team and I will reconvene and then come back with those recommendations solely based on what I'm hearing from you. So I can't go both ways. This is, again, me following up on your direction and your ask of me, and that is the work that we have completed, and that is what you're receiving today. Regarding that 1 cent, it has nothing to do with this, that we shifted from the debt service fund in terms of risking or having a negative impact on our capital improvement plan. We crunched those numbers. And as I told you during the operating budget process, during the straw votes, my team and I feel very comfortable with the shift of that 1 cent to support the operating budget, recognizing that we're still going to reassess the CIP. So although I appreciate you raising that, we've already covered that a part of whether or not we feel comfortable making that decision, which you all supported as well. And then the affordability. You know, another reason, in addition to responding to your ask of me to bring forward scenarios and what would it look like, to the point that's been made, this concept goes back to 2009, 2010. Since that time, as you know, we've encountered a lot of inflation, cost increases as well. So the cost to do business from projects that were designed 15 years ago, and we have experienced a slowdown in revenue, we have to rethink this with respect to your pause and affordability. And our team has put together options that, one, respond to your directive of me, and then two, that we feel will still allow us to provide services based on geographic need. And that is option 3. That is our preferred option, since you're asking, but we want to hear from you, because we do feel like that option will allow us to save a significant amount of dollars, still factoring other projects as well, and then also look at other options that we need to consider. So I just want to call that out, because the feedback, I think, is getting us away from what you asked me to do.
Yeah, I just want to make sure you got my 2 cents.
I heard you.
There are 9 of us.
Hold on, let me get to Susan, because she hasn't spoken yet. Can you make it quick?
Yeah, I just want to say, there are 9 of us, and I'm certainly on the side of, we need to give you clear signals. I'm giving you my clear signals. And I know the cost of doing business to help poor people is cost more.
Exactly.
But that's our commitment. Okay?
Let me go to Commissioner Rodriguez-McDowell, then Commissioner Dunlap has a follow-up, and then I'm going to give feedback. And I'll come back to you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Manager, for your comments. I really do see what you were doing here, and I really do appreciate it. The way, if I'm looking at these 4 options, for me, it's either baseline or number 3. And the difference in the cost is only $111 million between those two. And I would really like to know what the cost of the leases are over time. Like if you had a number of what those 150 staff, because I do think that's really important when we think about, these aren't just locations that customers are coming to, it's where people are going to work. And so I do think that's a really important consideration. And these buildings double as the home of, where our employees are working. So if you can come back with sort of any kind of numbers around 111 million, like how long would it take what the cost of leases is to make up the 111 million, that's the difference between the baseline and the savings that this would represent. I do think that slide 22 was a key slide. It seemed to be showing the usage, and if I was reading it correctly, it's showing the usage based on zip code if all of the locations were open. So it's not showing you, well, if we didn't do, these ones, you'd have to add services to the other ones.
And I can speak to this. I've heard this kind of a topic, questions come up around this, perhaps specifically some of the data points shared here. We understand this is not a comprehensive snapshot of every HHS program and the density of customers based on CRC zip code regions. We chose the biggest programs with the highest numbers just as kind of proxies for general need in the community.
That was smart.
I want to note that these are the number of participants within zip code regions assigned to each CRC. So we took a look at each CRC and did an analysis of and I'd have to get the exact mileage ranges, but within X number of miles, which customers that we serve are closest to which CRC, and that's how we assign this. The numbers are actually a little bit lower than our overall program participation numbers because some residents have an address that's not clear, or there are different reasons. The data's not always crystal clear. But this shows that with East, for example, it's about, I tested this out yesterday, it's about a 40-minute bus ride from East to EBS. And what you see, and that's on a good day, I think on another scenario it looked at an hour and a half. I didn't notice that when looking at some maps, and it can vary by time of day and other factors. But I do want to point out that when you look at EBS and East, those are the two highest zip code regions of customers. And so that's why I do believe we are seeing these high numbers at EBS, seeing 609 customers just last Monday. The ECRC would help to offset some of that high customer demand that we're seeing and serve additional customers, create greater proximity for the participants in each of these programs that are outlined in this chart. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I think so. I think what I'm trying to get at is if you have 5, then your numbers are going to go down at the ones that already exist, but then you have the growth. And so, just trying to figure out if these numbers are before adding or if they're, including all 5.
These are today's numbers of program participants in the zip code regions. Not every one of these customers comes to a CRC. We do have some preliminary analysis that we're working through, and we can share at a future date, that does show that when a CRC is built, it does increase access based on proximity. So you actually will see, say for example, VCW 28208, you will see higher numbers of customers utilizing that center based on where they live. So that is where a value is in creating services closer to customers' homes. It does help increase access. We just need to study that a little bit further before presenting some of those details. But these are just program participation. Whether or not they're coming to a CRC, I expect that we would see more engagement at CRCs if, say, for example, East came online. More people in the East zip codes would start visiting sites and perhaps getting access to other resources as well.
Okay, thank you. That really helps.
Thank you. We're going to go 2 minutes, Madam Clerk. Commissioner Dunlap, then Commissioner Townsend.
Okay, real quick. Of course, you still want all the goals to be met, but option 3, if you're asking the question whether option 1, 2, or 3, option 3 would make the most sense. The question is, which one of those CRCs would you build? Would you build East or would you build Southwest? given the fact that you talk about the amount of money that's already been appropriated for the east, the question for me is, could you move that footprint for the east facility to the southwest facility? You've already started the design phase and all that other stuff. Could you move the footprint?
I mean, anything is possible. It would certainly require redesign.
Well, you would save the amount of money from not doing the additional.
Wouldn't lose it, the $11 million
Right, you
that
wouldn't-
we've invested. That is an option that we haven't explored. Of course, I'll have to rely on the experts here, but that is a conversation we can have if that's the direction that we receive from the board. Let's go.
As long as you're still achieving the 4 goals that were stated.
Thank you. Let me go to Commissioner Townsend Ingram, then Commissioner Meyer.
I just wanted to, I think this conversation is really good. But again, the thing that keeps replaying in my head is the word equity. And what could be, to the comments about, well, we don't need this, and maybe here, and maybe this place. Again, transportation, what is, to you, a simple inconvenience is a burden for some other folks. So if you don't have the experience of trying to get a service, trying to get food, trying to get medicine, that can be a burden. It can be a life-challenging burden to some families. So again, yeah, there are 4 options. Baseline to me would be optimal, and we figure out how to do it. We figure out how to pay it, because this is a projection of, down the road. This is, a capital improvement plan means, 10, 15 years down the road. We're not going to be the same size. There's no way that we can accommodate even tangentially, the people and the services that we have now with 158 people per day. And I know all of those people don't need services, but we need to think about the future so that we are not overburdened and overrun, because those things translate into further things like crime, like, people shoplifting, all of those things, safety. So those things are interconnected. So I think that we really have to be forward-thinking. We have to figure out how to pay for it and what the pain points are. That's my comment.
Thank you. Commissioner Meyer.
Thank you. If we're looking at baseline or option 3, I'm still for baseline, I'm still for moving forward. But if we have to change, if that is something that is in the future we have to change, then I'm for option 3. My question about that, though, is are we upfitting any lease space in option 3? Are we renovating any lease space?
Well, the clinic, certainly, for option 3, that was one of the major benefits. So
That's the least.
that was a to-be-determined lease space, and that was significant costs. If we build option 3, we would have the clinic at the southwest, and that would eliminate the need for us to go find that lease space.
Okay.
We do have still some remaining general health and human services staff, again, since we're not doing the full build-out of all our CRCs. There is some amount, again, I'm saying approximately 150 at David Taylor Drive, but we've already bit that off right now. We've already got that building leased. There is not additional costs associated with that
Okay.
throughout these options.
Okay. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Griffin.
Yeah, I just wanted to follow up, Mr. Manager, you've been crystal clear.
Yes,
We cannot be everything
everybody.
for everybody.
Thank you.
And I take that to heart. And that's why I'd want to do the hard work that you're trying to push us to do, is to give you some information about making choices. And I keep coming back to the things that we talk about services and programs for our principal staff. In the Economic Development Committee, I think it was the Economic Development Committee, we talked about helping people in the Alice communities. Okay? How are we going to do that if we don't have proximity to where the help is located for people who are working during the day? They get off from work in the evening. Where do they go if it's somewhere close by? So I would want us to really look at what are we trying to do to improve the quality of life, as the chair has says each meeting, live, work, earn,
Play.
recreate. You know, how do we do that for the most folk? And we certainly can't afford to be all things to all people. Just put those hard choices in front of us and see where we go. And I don't have to always win, but let me win some.
There's no winners, losers here. We're just getting feedback.
Commissioner Leak.
Is it you're trying to win, or are you trying to save people's lives?
That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I'm still where I was, wanting to know more. What we already have, I heard the young lady say that she had visited and others had visited some of our sites. When I went over to Valerie Woodard's when it was first opened, I too sat and waited to see how long it would take to be serviced. But that's a part of the process. I want to know what precincts have the greatest needs and what are those needs. We talk about rec centers, we talk about greenways, how can we meet the needs of our people who need it the most without having to charge them tax money to pay for it? Everybody wants everything, but they don't want to pay for it, or they can't afford to pay for it. We talk about education. We're limited, and we don't speak from that perspective. What other counties is looking at the same issues that we have, or whatever states have something similar that we can look at and see what they're doing and how they're doing it, and not just wait upon those of us who are limited right here, living in Mecklenburg County. This is as far as we go. So I'm concerned. I'm not against anything that's going to impact the lives of our people. But if we can't pay for it, we can't get it. Leasing and building is one thing. We spend more lease money than we do on building, we spend more money on building than we do leasing. As she talked about, you see a building today, tonight it's gone. And with the growth that we have, and the infrastructure is yet to come up to par. And that's a city issue. That's not our issue. It's a city issue. Every morning you wake up, pipes are bursting. And transportation, driving, and getting where we need to go. People go where they want to go. And we talk about getting to places for health-wise, they go where they want to go. They get their nails done, they get their hair done, you know? And that's their business, but they can't beg for everything. Yes, I said that.
All right, so everybody's gone.
What I said?
I believe everybody's gone multiple times.
And thank you.
So one of the things I want to ask colleagues is that those that still have questions, additional feedback, please get with staff so that they can receive your comments. So I've got a couple really quick hitters because I want to give my comments, but I just have a couple questions. How much was the land, what was the cost of the land for the ECRC? Does anybody know? And if we don't, just send it to me later.
I don't know the exact figure off the top of my head. I can get it for you quickly before I leave here.
Okay, thank you. Because I think, would it be fair to say that the design is not the design cost is not 50% of the $10.1 million that we've got in there?
The design cost is the majority of it.
So it is
Probably,
the majority?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. With our current CRCs, at what point do we go in and have to invest in upgrades and upfits? What's the year benchmark?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
Sure. So VCW came online in 2018. How much life is in there before we have to go in, before we've anticipated going in to do upfits, upgrades, or,
Before that building
Life expectancy.
reaching the end of its useful
Well, it's
life?
not even life expectancy, but at certain intervals, in our buildings, do we project that to say, hey, we know after 20 years, you're going to have to do upfits or upgrades to a particular building?
HVAC.
Yes. David Geezer, do you want to speak to that one?
You don't use it the same.
My name's David Geezer, I'm the facility manager.
project construction. We do ongoing maintenance on the buildings on a regular basis. Probably it's about every 15 to 20 years, you've got to do a major renovation on the building.
Yeah, a major renovation every 15 to 20 years. So that's, go ahead, Rob.
And I do want to add one comment. When you're seeing higher customer volumes, you are going to see more wear and tear on buildings. So if you see 500 to 600 people per day at a CRC site, that's going to speed up that timeline. I can't give an exact number on when, but you just see more damage to buildings with that volume of customers coming through the door every day. So another point to consider as well, with just 2 sites existing without distributing the volume.
Thank you. So, I mean, my only point is that when we talk about investment, one of the costs that are not necessarily factored in is what's going to be coming up in 15 to 20 years, even absent the traffic that you're talking about. But that's other additional costs that, we're looking at just with the existing CRCs. This has nothing to do with any of the ones that might be coming online. The second thing, when I look at this, and I'm not the biggest fan of, I think conceptually the CRCs, I think it's sexy when you talk about it, but I have not necessarily, I haven't seen any data that shows me that people are using the workforce development component or this component or how many and what the numbers are and if it's even worth this $200 million investment personally. When you look at the numbers with respect to use of the other partners that are in there. Because I've gone in, like others, and we've had partners there, and we are appreciative of all of our partners. But I can tell you, I've been told, and I've seen certain partners that they are not busy when the CRC is full. And most of the time, what people are there for is what they're there for, right? And it is the core of our services from what I can tell when I've gone to CRCs. There is a need for all of those other components. I just am not convinced that it's a need necessarily under one roof based on the traffic. But that's a whole, so I'm just giving this to you, Mr. Manager, so you can understand where I'm coming with my feedback. I also think that we are not taking into consideration 30, 40 years from now, we're just assuming that this is the delivery model that is forever. And this is a perpetual delivery model for services, which I suspect, the way we're moving technology and other ways in society, that this is going to be Kmart. When I was growing up in the 70s, Sears and Kmart, you never believed that you would never be able to go into this big box monstrosity or whatever, and it would be here forever, right? So we should take into consideration that the delivery model that we're solving for today, in 2040, 2050, we're going to be talking about it's obsolete, and then we're going to be trying. A future board is going to be trying to figure out how do you repurpose these investments and what does it mean and so on and so forth. So for me, I'll just say, I'll leave that there. But what I was going to tell you is this is my feedback. With respect to the ECRC, I can unequivocally tell you that East Charlotte is not necessarily interested in just more social services. East Charlotte is interested in economic mobility, upward mobility, opportunity, access, whether you're talking about youth programming. So if I was to break this down, right, I don't want to use in East Charlotte, in my district, I don't want to use social services as an anchor. I want to use it as a support. So yes, I would be in favor of redesign, even though we're baked in there. I would want to redesign. I would want, 35% economic mobility hub, right? Entrepreneurship, training, that kind of thing. I'd want 20% some recreation component, right? Where I can get these kids off the street into some level and activate it with respect to programming. There is a component for the service support, but I would also want a variety of like health access too, right? So the dental clinic or even for us, if we want to really think outside the box, give us a behavioral health clinic right? Where I can get people in there to be able to receive some therapy or something like that. You know, so for East Charlotte, I can't, you know, and what I've heard from Southwest people, and not to, you know, I don't want to overstep, but what I've heard from Southwest is they want a regional rec center. They don't want a CRC. So are we going to do what people want, or are we going to just say because the footprint was there and we decided to do this 20 years ago, then we're going to do it? So I'm giving you my feedback for the East. Economic mobility is what it's all about. If we're going to invest $1 billion, Mr. Manager, for the East, right, give us $330 million in economic mobility, not perpetual social service. We'll go to Eastway, to your point. We'll take the extra 2 miles and go to Eastway and get what we need and find out some other things, but we want economic mobility. I don't want to speak for any other district here, but I know what, on Sharon Amity, what that can do for that corridor, for Milton Road, for Sharon Amity, for East W.T. Harris, with the other assets that we have coming online at Eastland, Albemarle Road Rec Center, Hickory Grove Rec Center, with what we have in that proximity, in that area, that's what we need. So I'll leave it at that as far as my feedback is concerned.
Can I have one more comment?
If you can do it really quickly, please,
I
because
will do it really
we're gonna bump. Let me get a motion to extend, please. Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, I just wanted to, because all of this, what we're doing, I think that this is based on today, what we've seen, with the options that they're giving us. And the reason that I had additional comments is because of what our chair said. No, none of these should be anchors for any commission. This is about supplementing what people's needs are. So we need an AI projection, and we don't, I don't think that we do AI. But if this were optimal, we would be doing an AI projection of where the most people are located and where the most services are needed and concentrated, and then we could get a better understanding of what is needed and where cost savings could be. But we don't do AI projection. With the options that we have here, we're saying this is what we need. So what we're saying is we want additional options, or we want to go with the options that are up there. And what I'm saying is, you know, yes, Commissioner Jarrell, I absolutely I think that every district wants economic development to be their anchor. But where is, you know, what are people needing? Those services can be paid for. The anchor stuff can be paid for with other revenue. But when we're talking about county revenue, we're talking about equity. We've got to figure out a way to accommodate the actual needs of people. These are actual needs.
I'm taking that into consideration, Commissioner. I think for me, now again, when we all look at these presentations, it's like, this is the way I look at when staff gives us a presentation. There's an exercise that gives you 9 dots, and it says you get 4, you have to connect, you have to hit all those dots in 4 lines, right? You can only use 4 lines. So if you try to do it within the dots or the framework that it's been given, you'd never be able to do it. The only way you can hit all of them is you have to go outside, right? You have to go totally outside. So when I look at this, I see those options, but in my mind, I'm going out, right? So I'm going to draw outside that box. I'm not going to be contained. I'm going to give whatever wishes that I want, right? Now, it may not be practical. You all may vote me down, and it may go absolutely nowhere. But I'm never going to be contained to the 9 dots. And so for all of us as board members, we should never be contained to the 9 dots. We should always go outside. I will respect wherever anyone else is coming from, but I'm the representative for District 4. And so I know what residents in District 4 would prefer as we are thinking about our future. And so I'm forced to think outside the box. And so all I'm saying is, for all of us, and when we have for all of us, this is a framework. And you're right. We have to understand the delivery, but the data that I see, I look at it differently. I see the centers are being utilized to the extent they need to be utilized. That's what I want. I don't want to keep seeing that it goes super low and we've invested $200 million and people kind of sitting around and, trying to figure it out. And with that, the one thing that I didn't mention, Mr. Manager, was, and I want to be clear about this, I want our staff taken care of, right? I want them in facilities that are fantastic, and there's nothing that precludes us from leasing a space, upfitting it, and making it with as many amenities as our staff deserve. So when you look at those lease options, I would want to invest, with all the money that we're saving, I would want to invest in whatever we have to do in those facilities to allow for a great environment because of the difference in cost. I think we could still do that and make it really, really nice facilities for our staff. But I can go with a lease proposal because I don't believe in 30, 40 years, I don't believe that this is going to be the delivery model. I think we're going to be in a place in society where there's a completely different delivery model that you won't need these big monstrosities. So I'm banking on that fact. But I hear you, Commissioner. I respect where you're coming from, and you're right. We need to understand what the need is. But I feel like the facilities right now are certainly utilized to its fullest capacity. And the last comment that I will make, I want to get people off of social services. I want that number to go down. Like, I want us, if we're going to come up with a plan, I want the plan to see how are we going to move people off of social services. And I believe with an economic mobility hub, and we're training people for jobs, we can take those same people that are coming to that same center, get them double their income, triple their income, and get them off of the rolls.
Move to adjourn.
No, we've got one other, I'm sorry. I think that's last comments on this. Let's get with staff. Thank you all.
That was the mic drop moment.
Only thing I would ask
Totally.
is that when he sends stuff to you, or if one person has questions, if we could copy all so that
Yeah.
we're not.
How about we do this? How about, can you create a tracker, Mr. Manager, so that we have it housed in one thing? Because that way, nobody's piecemealing it. Okay?
Yeah, happy to do that. And thank you for your feedback and comments. This is what we wanted. We wanted to hear from each one of you regarding the options that were presented to you, your reaction to those options, thoughts of alternatives as well. And now we can take that back and come back with a recommendation that is aligned to considering the need, future, as well as current state, and then also the feedback that you all provided us. So I think we were able to accomplish what we set out to do. We got a lot of comments to sort through, but I do believe we received the guidance and direction that we needed. Thank you.
Thank you. Steve, Robert, great job. Thank you. Let's move to
Thank you,
commissioner
gentlemen.
reports. Who has a report? Reports.
Pass, back. Move to adjourn.
Moved in second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We adjourn. Thank you.
Thanks.